Let's move on. We move on to afternoon action. 4:05 p.m. Eastern is next up for us. Cincinnati Bengals at Las Vegas Raiders. At Las Vegas Raiders. Let me just get this over here. Okay, let's go. Bengals 5-4, 3-2 on the road. Raiders 5-4, 3-2 at home. We're at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Bengals coming in off their bye week. So Bengals open up as 1-point favorites on the road. This total opens up at 49. Right now at Pinnacle, we have the exact same situation. Although the -1 on the Bengals is at -110, and this total has moved to 50. So, sorry, move that over here. Too many things up. Bengals were last seen in an ugly 41-16 home loss to the Browns in Week 9. Their offensive line was absolutely atrocious. Burrow was hit 12 times, sacked 5 times. He's been sacked 25 times this year. The Bengals at one point this year were 5-2 and looked like they could win the division. And then they go into New York, play the Jets. And that all came on the heels of that 41-7 beatdown of Baltimore on the road. They go in, they lose 34-31 at the then 1-5 Jets. Then they lose at Paul Brown Stadium 41-16. The Browns, that was the Browns' largest margin of victory over Cincinnati since 1987. When they had beaten the Ravens, Jamar Chase was the rookie of the year. Since then, he's done nothing. He caught 3 passes for 32 yards in the loss versus the Jets, and the game versus Cleveland was his worst game as a professional. He dropped passes in the end zone, lost a fumble. So they have a ton of injury issues. Trey Waynes missed all of last season with a pectoral injury, went on injured reserve last month with a hamstring injury, and their defense has looked different since then. Guard Xavier Suafilo has been out with a knee injury for a month. Linebacker Jordan Evans, knee injury on the injured list. Safety kick returner Brandon Wilson and linebacker Akeem Davis-Gator went out Sunday's game, and Wilson tore his ACL. So Brandon Wilson is done. We don't know what's going on with Davis-Gator. Defensive end Cam Sample, wide receiver Auden Tate were ruled out. There are a ton of injury issues. Now, how healthy are they going to be? How fixed are they going to be off the bye week? Then we have this Raiders team. So we talked about the weight that's being on Derek Carr's shoulders. He's been handling it. A lot of us were on the Chiefs -2.5. And I had some fear that there was a vividness bias with the Chiefs in play. But you can't keep lifting up this heaviness, this dark cloud that's hanging over the Raiders franchise. Carr was 25-35 for 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Edwards caught 3 passes for 88 yards. Hunter Renfrew caught 7 passes for 46 yards. As a team, they rushed 14 times for 50 yards. They got no pressure on Mahomes. That was the one thing that you could always count on with this Raiders team this year, was that they could apply pressure. They got none. 0 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. So Richie Incognito isn't coming back. Not that he would. I mean, he would help. He would definitely help. This guy, Richie Incognito, is a captain of this squad. Gerald McCoy is on injured reserve. He's not suspended anymore. Alec Ingold suffered an ACL tear. Kayshawn Nixon was unavailable, still questionable. Nick Kwiatkowski, unavailable, still questionable. Amik Robertson, cornerback, was unavailable last week, still questionable. Tyree Gillespie, safety, still questionable, was inactive last week. Connor Mack goes, Raiders games go over at home. And that was something I thought early in the year. Regardless of this supposed, what we thought was going to be a weak offensive line of the Raiders, I still thought these games were going to go over. But is it time to fade the Raiders week in and week out? Bebsie, take it away, Bengals Raiders.
Listen, I think this over is very tantalizing, and I might just have to move on it because I kind of agree. but I talked about this. I feel like I've been talking about this every week with the Raiders. It's just one pile of shit after another for this franchise right now. Like, it's just week in, week out, something devastating. And I think we saw a culmination of it last week, getting blown out by a Kansas City Chiefs team that really hasn't been good this year. They got absolutely smashed. And I don't know. I just can't. I can't lay money with them. I understand why this line was +3 now, -1 for the Bengals. This is just a Raiders team that's dealing with too much. And as good as they were to start this season, and as good as it looked like they might have been after they got rid of Gruden, and they came back and it looked like they were going to rally. And then the Ruggs thing, I think, really, really crippled this team. The Damon Arnett thing was just, shit icing on a shit cake. And now I just think, like Dutch is saying here, auto fade for a while on these until you see an inspired team, which I don't know when we're going to see this team again. They look demoralized, and Carr is saying and doing the right things, but this is a lot. This is a heavy, heavy season for these players. And listen, it's hard to win games in the National Football League, and you put all of that on a team on top of just having to face other elite level talent. And it's just too much to overcome. So I agree with Dutch, auto fade on the Raiders, but I do like this over.
I agree. Trey Wayne's coming back this week because things really fell apart in their secondary when he went down. I agree. Birdie says, interesting people betting the Raiders the last 2 weeks. Now we see fade the Raiders. I will be betting the Raiders money line after the show. That's from Birdie.
Look, I can understand that. Again, if you bet that though, Birdie, you're assuming that the Raiders are going to be able to push past all this negativity. And if they can, yeah, I believe they'll win. But until I see that they can do that, I can't bet them.
So if we, this is so stupid. Every time, oh man, I have this image of being drunk in Seattle, lost with Sonny Dollywall, and we were saying I couldn't find my way, and I was so hammered. I was like, let's just do the opposite of what I would do. So I just started doing the opposite of everything we do, and of course, it didn't get me anywhere. Which is this whole betting against what we saw last week and simplifying it to that extent is pretty ridiculous. But last time we saw the Bengals, they were atrocious. Now they've got a week to kind of get right. Looking at these two teams, who has a chance to get right in the second half? Well, there's no question it's the Bengals.
Well, yeah, one team is just dealing with the struggles of getting better as a young football team, and the other team is dealing with a racist coach, a budding star that killed a woman and her dog and is going to jail for some period of time, and another first-round pick from the same year who's brandishing weapons and threatening to kill people on camera. There's a ton of shit that they got to deal with right now.
So I don't, God, I love capping with all you guys so much, but Birdie, I don't fully agree with the sentiment about I agree with the sentiment about perception. Vegas takes advantage of perception. But the last time we saw the Bengals, they looked horrible. Do you think that people forget it because it was 2 weeks ago and not 1 week ago? Both these teams looked horrible. So if it was enough to keep me off of the Bengals certainly wouldn't be enough to get me off the over. Over's got to be in play. But I think the Bengals and the over in play. Why? Chapman says Bengals going to get spanked. And Brady says because it was 2 weeks ago. Well, I guess this will need more time. But at this point, Brady says people love the Bengals. I mean, come on, man. Do they? Bebsie, what are you making official here? Anything?
I'm going to take this over.
All right, well, let's get the over for you. This over opened at 49. It started moving up. There's 49.5s and 50.5s. Right now, we can get you that over 50 at minus 103. So an over 50 with no juice. Over at Bet365, it's 49.5 at minus 110. And that is a live line right now. So do you want the 49.5 at minus 110 or the 50 at minus 103? And I'll keep line shopping.
Sorry, my internet's shit in the bed again.
No, you have an over 49.5 at minus 110 available, or over 50 at minus 103.
Yeah, I'll take that 50.
So no juice or lack of juice here. 50. The only way that could hurt you is a 27-23 type scenario. So over 50 at minus 103. So 7 cents cheaper for half a point. I get it. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna move on. I agree with both looks. Let's move on.